Ever wanted to practice your Hypixel Skyblock Dragon fighting abilities without having to waste any coins? Or maybe you don't even have good enough gear in the first place to fight? Well, in today's video, I've made a Hypixel Skyblock Dragon simulator. You can choose whatever armor you want, weapons you want, or even just change your base stats entirely to be able to one-hit the dragon. Not only that, but in today's episode number 7 of my ongoing quest to recreate the entire Hypixel Skyblock game mode for download using just vanilla Minecraft command blocks, I'll be adding all of the accessories and also some other neat features too. If this is the first episode you've seen, I encourage you to catch up with all the progress we've made so far on the Skyblock sandbox. The complete playlist is in the top right of your screen right now. And finally, before we get into it, I know YouTubers always say they spent a long time in their video, but this video didn't take a day, not a week, not even a month. This video took almost 2 entire months of non-stop work. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We're super close to 30,000 subscribers, and it would mean the absolute world to me if we could hit that crazy milestone. And subscribing means you can easily find all my new uploads, rather than just hoping YouTube recommends it to you. So, at least please consider it while you watch. So, let's begin. Our first challenge of adding a dragon fight was, you guessed it, the dragon. Every time I spawned her in, she just kept flying away. Luckily though, after a little bit of research, I realised that this was because the dragon likes to stick around the coordinate 0, 0. So how do we fix this? Well, since last episode, I made every single island into its own dimension, like the Nether and End have in vanilla Minecraft. All of these dimensions look exactly the same, so you can't really tell you're changing dimension apart from a quick screen flash when you move to a new island. The reason this is better than having all the islands in the same dimension is it means mobs in other islands don't have to be loaded in, improving efficiency. This multi-dimension system is also what allowed me to fix the dragon flying away by shifting all of the islands in the end dimension along by 1,000 blocks, so that the summoning altar perfectly aligned at 0, 0. I did this with World Edit, but it took absolutely ages still as it kept crashing and I had to do small pieces of the world at a time. With this done, she now stays in place inside the dragon room. Her AI is still messed up and not like the Hypixel Skyblock dragons at all, but we'll come back to that later. Next, I want to start the summoning sequence. To do this, we're going to need summoning eyes. I could quickly make these using player heads like so, but number 1, these can be stacked to 64, whereas summoning eyes can't. Number 2, we could place the head onto the floor on our private island. And number 3, I need to be able to detect when the player right clicks on the summoning eye, which I can't currently do with the player head, for reasons I don't really want to get into right now. But an item that fixes all of these issues is a warped carrot on a stick, a new 1.16 item. Then I created a custom model for the item that looks identical to a player head, so as you can see, you wouldn't even know which one's which. With this, we can detect a right click, as you can see in chat, but we need to go further and add its actual right click functionality. So, give me a second, and the remake summoning eyes work exactly the same now. So, let's quickly take a look at the real summoning eye. And here's the remake one. When you place it down, it says you in chat, but for everyone else it would say your IGN. It converts the eye into a sleeping eye when you right click. And it also shows particles above your eyes, so you can know which ones you've placed. You can use these particles to find your eye again, if you ever want to pick it back up, which also works, along with its 15-second cooldown. Finally, when you get to 8 eyes placed, it'll give you a slightly different message, and then convert your sleeping eyes into remnants of the eye. The way I programmed this in, it also converts all of the sleeping eyes in your ender chest too, something which is still bugged in real Skyblock when I last tested. Now the remnants of the eye are in the game, next I think I may as well quickly add their functionality, which if you didn't know, saves the player from death while they're in the end. As you can see, if I die from full damage, the message appears in the chat and my health is restored. And there's a slightly different message if I get saved from the void too. I also made an invulnerability system, as this item gives you 3 seconds of invulnerability after consumption. At this point, I couldn't really develop much further without doing an actual real dragon fight for myself. So, after wasting all of my coins and eyes, I partied up with my guild to give it a try, my first time ever placing eyes. I not only recorded the fight, but also used replay mod so I could keep replaying different parts to see all of the information and details I needed. So it was extremely useful. Although I did end up just getting fragged and doing terribly so. For example, I would later use this view on replay mod to rebuild every stage of the door opening and closing animation. With all this new information, and a solid week of work, I completed the initial summoning animation. It looks absolutely perfect and I'm super happy with it. It even has the dragon egg exploding, which I remade by summoning a bunch of falling blocks and then exploding them outwards with TNT. At the end, it also randomly chooses a dragon to announce in chat, but I haven't got around to actually summoning that dragon yet. Before I did that, I decided to build the ceiling block off and door closing into the initial sequence, which looks more or less identical to the replay I showed you a moment ago. Okay, update. Once the sequence finishes, it places some end crystals and now actually summons the dragon, with the correct health. Damaging the dragon works, and updates the boss bar, although I did find an issue with the aiming chart working really strange with dragons, which I later managed to fix by changing to an aiming system which was developed by Discord user Mike7789, so huge thanks to them. It's also much smoother than my old system. Although you can't see it yet, I'm also tracking the damage of each player, which we'll use later on with the leaderboards and calculating what loot to give to the player. I now want to focus my attention on the end crystals, as there's a couple of issues with them. Firstly, regardless of mob grief in game rule, they still damage the terrain when broken, which definitely isn't wanted. Furthermore, there is no way to give end crystals a mob drop when destroyed, meaning we would be unable to make them drop crystal fragments. To fix this, I've been working on a prototype involving slimes. The slimes perfectly cover the end crystal hitbox, and actually can be given a death drop of a crystal fragment. By making this slime silent, invisible, and killing the end crystal when the slime dies, so it doesn't explode, we can fix all of our problems. After some more development, I've done just that. It also gives me messages in chat to say you've destroyed them, and works with telekinesis too. Alright, I've done the finishing touches and now end crystals are complete. The first 5 crystals now randomly spawn on any possible spawn point, instead of just the same places every time. Secondly, destroying one deals 1000 damage to the dragon, a pretty insignificant and pointless amount, but it was still a feature so I had to add it. Thirdly, they actually heal the dragon now, and the healing is similar amounts to the actual dragon fights which I did my tests on. And finally, after a period of time has passed, another spawns back in if one's been destroyed. Now with these done, and crystal fragments in the game, what better time than ever to work on crystal armor? Crystal armor's ability is its stats and colour change depending on the light level. So to do this, I first had to collect the colour and stats of the armor at every different light level in the real game, which was as boring as it sounds. But once I'd done that, I added the crafting recipes, along with another recipe which uses a crystal fragment called the Catalyst. And then I also got the ability working. I managed to detect the light level by simply using a light predicate. It's just so satisfying watching the colour and stats on the bottom of the screen just rapidly change. But that wasn't me done with crystal fragments. Some Hypixel Skyblock items actually have a message underneath saying right click to view recipes. Clicking this opens a menu of all of the recipes which use it. So I also had to add this. So here's my version. The thing really cool about this, at least in my opinion anyway, is that I knew in the future we'd have lots of menus like this. So, rather than hard coding it, I decided to make it auto-generate based on just a small bit of data. All I have to type is recipe_preview : and then some curly brackets and recipes, and then a list. And I can add a recipe here, and it'll be added to the right click menu. It also adds them in order of the list. So if I have more than one recipe, the next page and previous page buttons are also done without hard coding. I added support for every vanilla recipe in the game too, using a Python script. So the only bit of work I'll need to do when adding a recipe preview to an item is adding the Hypixel Skyblock new recipe to the database of recipes. Pretty neat if you ask me. Time to get back to dragons. Although we have lots of work to do during the fight, like the abilities and improving AI, first I want to get the end of the dragon fight out of the way. So when testing, everything will automatically reset after I kill the dragon. There's 3 main parts to this which now work. The first is the door opening and the ceiling becoming exposed again. The second is the dragon egg slowly rebuilding itself and then saying it's complete. meaning everything's been reset and another dragon can be summoned. And the third is the reward podium appearing, and the dragon being removed. For the first problem, the easiest, I could simply run the door stages in reverse order that I did for the closing animation. For the second problem, I had to spend hours and hours of hard coding for every single time where a new block reappears, using the replay footage I'd also picked up. And the third problem, I summon a circle of armor stands, teleport them downwards until they hit the floor, store the block there elsewhere, and then replace it with purple terracotta. Beautiful. The next stage of this humongous undertaking was being able to break open the dragon's door during the fight. Hopefully now you're starting to appreciate why this video has taken so long. There's just so many parts of the puzzle to add, and just me to work on it. So as you can see, if I start this fight and fly out of the nest, we'll talk about the additions to the scoreboard here in a second. We'll find the Dragon's Gate has a HP bar. If I punch anywhere on the door, it's going to create a little puff of smoke and also deal some damage. If I keep doing this, you'll be able to see the bar decrease, and also some zealots and endermites start spawning every so often. We'll also have some messages in chat at certain damage milestones, and once we deal enough damage to break the door, which is 1 million damage if you've ever wondered, it'll swing open. Now we can walk through into our superior dragon fight. Moving back to our scoreboard, as you can see I've added dragon HP and your damage to the scoreboard, which both work as you'd expect. I've also added the death message, which obviously doesn't display the correct data yet. Also new is this fella, Gregory, who appears during the fight and leaves once it's over. In the actual game he just sells bows and arrows for an extremely large price, but as I don't want to get into the NPC shop system this episode, right now in the remake he just sits there and smiles. Now it's time to start working on the actual fight itself. Firstly, her AI is extremely boring because she just stays at the same Y level all fight. To fix this, every so often I generate a random number between 2 and 20, and give the dragon that much motion up or down. Every time it randomly generates, it alternates between going up or going down, so basically every single time it's going to have extremely dynamic movement. I've also got checks to make sure it doesn't move into the floor or out of the ceiling. Then, it was time to add the dragon's 4 abilities. These are Rush, Lightning Strike, Fireball, and there's also this other one which temporarily freezes the dragon in place. Rush is where the dragon charges at the player and launches them into the air. It can deal anywhere from 300 to 700 damage, but the system uses triangular distribution, a bit like throwing 2 dice, so you're more likely to get to the numbers at the centre of the range, so around 500 in this case. Then we have Lightning Strike, where the dragon stops in place for a second or two and then strikes every player with lightning. In real Skyblock, this would result in a ton of lightning everywhere as there'd be lots of players in your lobby. But for the remake I've added some cosmetic lightning as you can see, which comes down, so it still looks like a huge lightning storm. Next is Fireball, where the dragon stops, looks at a player and then launches a bunch of fireballs. After it starts shooting the fireballs, its head is fixed there, so you can pretty much just avoid it by walking away. These 3 abilities deal true damage, so I thought it would be a good time for me to add True Defense working, the stat which reduces true damage. I did technically add this stat last episode in the menu, but I didn't make the functionality work. Finally, the dragon can also freeze in place like so, which is usually when players aspect the end in to do melee. There's also a 5th ability that only happens once per fight, which is called Final Battle. This is where a bunch of instantly aggressive zealots are spawned, which if wanted to recreate, I need to find all of the zealot spawn points. Luckily, all of the mob spawn points are already indicated with these green carpets, which came with the world download, but I still don't know which of these are zealot spawns, and which are watcher or obsidian defender spawns. To work this out, I won a real Skyblock for about 40 minutes and just recorded my findings of where mobs usually spawn, and this is what I found. With this knowledge, I placed an invisible armor stand up every single one of the green carpets, and gave them tags depending on which mob spawner they were. And then I could remove the green carpets, which felt extremely weird to see, as I've seen the carpets here for so long. Anyway, with these in place, I successfully implemented the final dragon battle. The last of the main dragon fight content to be implemented were the specific dragon features. So let's quickly go through all of my implementations of them. Number 1 is Protector Dragons, which take 50% less damage. So as you can see, normally I'm dealing 34k, but against a Protector I'm dealing 17k. Number 2 is Old Dragons, which move slower. And number 3 is Young Dragons, which move faster, which I've done by giving them higher or lower vertical motion. Number 4 are Wise Dragons, which do abilities more frequently. Number 5, Strong Dragons' Rush, Fireball and Lightning Strike abilities do more damage. 6, Unstable Dragons implode on death, meaning anyone too close to them will take high damage. I didn't manage to experience this in game, or find any clips of it online, so I can't guarantee I've implemented it correctly, but it's 100% a real feature as there's an achievement in the game to survive it. Finally, number 7, the Superior Dragon has a weaker version of all of the other 6 dragons' features. To finish up dragons before we move on to accessories in a minute, we have a couple more things to do in the end of the dragon fight. Fix the dragon death message, and add death loot. The death message was easy enough. I made my own algorithm to rank all of the players that have dealt damage from highest to lowest, but I can't really show that off as I'm lonely. And, as you can see, mob drops are also working. I got an aspect of the dragons. Unfortunately right now, I can't think of any way to get the floor loot system working, so it currently just puts the loot straight into the player's inventory. What I mean by this is on Skyblock, your loot appears on the reward zone, and then you can go up to and pick it up. But in vanilla, I can't think of any way to make the player not be able to see other players' items. Anyways, as for the loot dropping system, like the real version, it's completely dependent on what dragon you got, how many eyes you placed, where you ranked, and also how much magic finds you have. Note, as I haven't done reforges, pets, or travelling scrolls yet, the message appears in chat, but you won't actually receive those items yet. You can see chest plates are much more likely than boots or helmets, as I ranked first place and placed 4 eyes. Whereas if I placed lower, boots would be much more common. And with this unstable dragon test, I'm also getting a bunch of aspect of the dragons, as they aren't dropped for superior dragons. If you're interested in the specifics of how loot is distributed, I encourage you to read the Hypixel Skyblock Ender Dragon wiki page. I actually managed to get a legendary dragon pet drop very early on during testing, which I took a screenshot of here, which was really surprising as that's about a 1 in 2,500 chance, and in game would have earned me hundreds of millions of coins. Then lastly, I added the system to calculate how many dragon fragments you'd receive, which is identical to real Skyblocks. And thanks to the easy to use recipe preview maker I made earlier on in the month, I managed to add recipe menus pretty quickly. I also added their recipes into the actual crafting table, but this took a little while longer as I hadn't got a system in place to require more than one item in one slot yet. Now, at this point you'd probably be thinking I would stop coding content and just make the video, but nope. I then had the genius idea to add the accessory system and all of the Skyblock accessories. To do this, I firstly added the accessory item type to my online generator, so I could make some test accessories to work with while implementing them. I then added all of the accessory stats in the player's inventory to their actual stats. As you can see, this will work wherever I place the accessory, and even if I have multiple. That's not us done though. Players can also store their accessories in the accessory bag. So, firstly, I add the accessory bag unlock collection reward. My first collection reward done. This bag works as you might expect. I can only put accessories in, and also it keeps the stats of my accessories. But the small accessory bag upgrade is not the only one I did. I also added the medium and large. There is some higher upgrades after these, but I'll need to add a page system to be able to have room for them in my accessory bag, as I'm stuck on using half the size of the menu. So I'll do those another time. Anyways, now we've unlocked them, I can show you that I have all the extra room. Another neat thing is I can change the amount of slots I have to any number. Well, as long as it's between 0 and 18 for now. But that means I can technically get more than the currently largest accessory bag in the remake. However, there is one big issue with the current accessory system. Right now, you can have multiple of the same accessory and it'll record all of their stats. To fix this, I added a feature called Accessory Family to the generator. What this does is when the system is adding up all the stats, it only adds the stats of the accessory if that family ID has not been used yet. By default, accessories family ID will literally just be the exact same of their name. meaning you can't have a duplicate of the same accessory. But this can also be used for accessories that can't be used together, for example the Feather Talisman Ring and Artifact. So if I give myself this temporary item called the Dragon Ring, which is an upgrade to this Dragon Talisman I made, because they have a matching accessory family of dragon, they can't be used together. Good stuff. Now the accessory system's all in place, we just need to add the actual accessories. This would be a massive task to undertake by myself, as there's 108 of them. But not when we work together. I put a call out or help on my Discord server, asking for people to help me using my generator, and within 2 days we'd finished every single one. So as you can see right here in these 4 shulker boxes, they're all in game. None of their custom abilities work yet, only their stats, which makes them mostly pointless right now as we can't even reforge them yet as that's not in game. But it's still an amazing sight to behold, so thank you so much to everyone who took part in making these. And that's a wrap on episode 7. For those of you who have been extremely patient with me waiting for the download, I thank you tremendously. Now Dragon's in the remake, it actually gives you guys something to do if I put it up for download. So I'm hoping to be able to actually release this next video. This will give my beta testers a bit of time to check for any major bugs. So if you're not subscribed yet, please do, as I'm assuming if you made it this far, or wanted to play the remake, you like what I do here on the channel. In other news, I'm also considering making a team of people to help me do the remake. This whole time it's just been me, with the exception of a couple of small parts which I've taken, with permission from other people's projects. So now I have school again, I think it could really speed everything up if I had help. This is a community project, so although you would be credited in all the videos for everything you took part in, you wouldn't be paid for your work. So if you're a data pack creator who thinks you might be interested in this, I have a link in the description for a form on my website you can fill out. I know it sounds kind of rude of me asking for people's help without any payment, but I have had lots of people on my Discord offer to help previously and I've turned them down, so now I actually really want help, so if this project interests you, please consider it. Thank you so much to all my incredible patrons you're seeing on screen right now. You guys are truly the best. If you want to become a patron and get unique rewards such as sneak peeks on what I'm working on and early access to videos days before they come out, please consider checking it out. The link's in the description. Only if you want to though, of course. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next, or just general feedback. It helps the YouTube algorithm and I try to read every single comment. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you all next time. Bye!